Greetings, loyal minions, beautiful humans. Welcome to the SciShow, the #1 ranked YouTube channel for people who enjoy a quick wham bam. Thank you, ma'am. If that's you, I appreciate you. As the title suggests, this is a very quick run through of my first impressions of the heroes available in the new Soul Exchange list, which came out last night. As always, on a Saturday, I have millions of things to do. I'd plan to clean my golf clubs, do some washing, clean the house up, all those things, and I'll wake up to 64 bazillion messages and a new Soul Exchange list. So here we are. A few very quick things before we get into it. Firstly, thank you to BerksG, Eliotti33, anyone else involved in getting these types of graphics and information out there. It allows us to make these videos and get you the information as early as possible to make sure you make the best pick. Secondly, I have a pretty big announcement. I'll make it probably halfway through the video. It's to do with an upcoming event with Small Giant that I have planned. To my knowledge, the first time anything like this has ever happened. So pretty exciting. It will also involve prizes for everyone out there. So make sure you tell everyone to subscribe, watch my videos. It will happen in about 2 weeks' time, but I will give more info in the middle of the video. And thirdly, these lists can be looked at in many ways. It is all roster dependent, and I cannot stress that enough. As an example, I would barely use any of these heroes in my alliance, which is around about top 150. If I did use them, they're very, very niche and they're used in very specific scenarios. There's not many heroes there I would use in every war as an example, but for some people, they will be amazing. So keep that in mind. The stats are going to be updated. None of the heroes are fantastic top tier, but depending on your level, they could be really, really huge additions to your roster. So please keep that in mind. First up at 10 souls is Yu. Does a huge hit, chains through enemies that have less than 50%. Being slow, best used in Rush War as a finisher. It is hard sometimes to make full use of his special as you need to get those heroes below 50, but if you can, he will absolutely wipe them out. Fantastic finisher, does a bit of follow-up poison damage. Has soft skin, which will protect against Bernadette, but his only protects himself and it needs to go off first. So probably one of the most recent heroes. I think he's probably the highest team power in the 10 souls. Very good, but can be difficult to take full advantage. Oviana, average hit 3. With dated stats, it's not going to be doing much damage. I think the only reason you'd pick is for the buff block, although it does only block to target nearby enemies. But if there's an enemy that you struggle against that has a really strong buff, could be an option. Or if you've got absolutely no one else to add critical chance for your Titan hits. Carmenta, along with you, probably the two I would suggest taking from the 10 soul tier. Just a quick mention to the cards you're seeing may not have the exact correct details. I will do a longer video later. Just wanted to get this out to give everyone a quick indication of the heroes that are worth taking. So I won't focus too much on these specifics. Carmenta, very unique skill, spreads all the target's cleansable status ailments to nearby enemies. The duration is reset, that's fine. Does a reasonable hit as well. Very, very unique skill, which is why I suggest possibly one of the best two here in the 10 soul level. Compare with someone like a Torben. So if you took Torben last time around, it spreads that ailment to nearby, which means they're all taking a shit ton of damage from everyone else. And then you're actually hitting 3 heroes as well, which will do a lot of damage. But very, very niche. You need to pair it with a hero that has a great cleansable status ailment to then spread to nearby. Tinsel, fast hit 3, but very outdated stats, so that hit isn't going to be doing much, even with a decent percentage. You get a minion. The target nearby enemies get minus 14% defense. That depends on how many blue tiles you've got. The more blue tiles, the more defense down. And that same thing happens with accuracy. Probably the only reason you would use Tinsel is because the defense down actually activates the follow-up damage to other heroes that have the defense down, that when it gets removed, it gives follow-up damage. So Star Walker is the absolute perfect match because they are both blue and fast, but other heroes such as Pepper Flame, etc. So anyone like that, Tinsel can activate that follow-up damage, but apart from that, no go. Hallstone, unfortunately, is a bit too gimmicky. He has a lot going on, but it all depends on how much health your allies have. He does things like attack boost, defense boost, mana generation boost, and a health regen, a bit of counter attack depending on where your heroes are with their health. I think he would need to do everything for every hero for him to be worthwhile. The passive core is really good for that extra boost, but I just don't see a use for him. Costume Bastet, being a costume, is pretty much going to have the best stats out of all of these heroes. Has the annoying passives that you also get along with the costume bonus that can hit multiple times, do a bit of extra damage. He's a fast hit all, so reasonably good there. Low hit, but not too bad. Gives 45% chance to dodge. Each dodge gives some defense. There are a lot of heroes out there now that can bypass that dodge because they never miss their targets. But I think with the costume, especially if you already have the original leveled, it's going to be a really good choice. But as long as you're taking against those heroes that can miss, pretty solid. Erlang Shen, unfortunately, probably just a bit too outdated now. Fast hit 3 with a smaller hit to nearby. He does do the follow-up damage, so he applies an attack down, and if that's removed before it ends, it does a bit of extra damage. But even that extra damage now is reasonably low. So I think I would only say if you're desperate for a hero during Cleanse War, may be useful to you, but there's a lot of people now that can safely remove those status ailments anyway. So unfortunately, probably not really many people that would find him useful. Brimstone was another beast when released. Average speed, hits all, brings a Fiend out. That Fiend gives elemental defense down. Has the destructive core, which again, that was great back in the day. I think it's only a max of 180% extra damage if it's fully charged, which isn't a lot now. I still feel with the elemental defense down, which is linked to the Fiend, can still be really useful part of a red stack, because anything with defense down or elemental defense down can just help your other hitters get bigger damage. So if that's what you need, you're looking for another hero for a red stack to give that elemental defense down, decent choice. Skarn is possibly still a touch underrated. Very fast, hit all, not a huge hit. Does minus 30% defense against ice for 3 turns, so that's reasonably small, but at very fast, I think the best way to use Skarn is to set up for other bigger hitters. So you may have 2 really big blue hitters, but you don't have a third that can just, help finish them off. So using Skarn at very fast to get that defense down against ice, follow up with your other blue hitters, they can just do a lot more damage. Does a little bit of frost damage. The passive core is kind of cool because it does do some mana down. The poison damage is pretty small, so it doesn't matter there. Just keep in mind, if you're using with any of the newer blue heroes that do frost damage, you don't want his frost damage to overwrite theirs because it is quite low. But being very fast, hit early with him, follow up with other blue hitters, can still be useful. Relius, the obvious thing to say is if you need a reviver that isn't slow, Relius is a decent choice. So if you don't have Astrid, Chichen Grande, any of the other revivers out there that are pretty big at the moment, Relius is very solid. So revives, I like the fact that it also heals. So it's not just a reviver, it also heals after you revive. So you revive, then you actually give them an extra heal. You're getting a ward. Whilst the ward isn't as good as someone like Delufla's, it's probably 400 or 500 less damage reduction, and it's a decent reviver, healer, and helps you stay alive a bit longer. So I'm probably say one of the best 3 choices in this line, and if you need a reviver, probably a standout. All right, just briefly, I mentioned at the start, there's an upcoming promotion I have. It's going to happen in a couple of weeks' time. I've been working with Small Giant for a while to get this happening. It's to celebrate my 6-year anniversary in the game, my 1-year anniversary on YouTube, and to celebrate some of the events that Small Giant have happening at around the same time. So keep an eye out for that. There's going to be something in the game that the only way you can get it is via my redemption code. So that's really exciting. There's going to be some major prizes as well. I'm hoping to have some major prizes which will give you enough gems for a 10 pull, but there'll also be a code that everyone can use. So make sure you tell everyone in your alliance, everyone you know, to subscribe to the channel and keep an eye out for that video in a couple of weeks' time. Very quick rant, because what's a side video without a rant? I really do wish Small Giant would stop putting in duplicates. Like, don't use heroes you've used before. There's so many bloody heroes in the game. And also, I think there needs to be a cap. So whether it's just a straight cap that all of these heroes are within the last, 12 months or something, like, it could be the 20 souls are between, 4 and 6 months, 15, 6 and 8, whatever it may be. Make sure we're getting heroes that are really relevant for everyone. That's all I'll say. On to Acid Fire, first of the 20 soul heroes. Look, he's fast, decent hit 3, gives Wither, which is minus attack and defense. So great for Titans if you don't have anyone else doing that. And also gives reflect status effects to target nearby. So I actually think there's not a lot of love for Acid Fire, but I still think he's a very relevant hero. So if those things are useful to you, very good choice. Lazara has a lot of useful stuff going on. Safely cleanses ailments from all allies, so that's fantastic without triggering any secondary effects. So that's still a skill that isn't readily available, so that's useful. Average hit all, but still a hit all. So if you're pairing it with a yellow team that can do defense down, etc., you're still going to get some damage. Decrease the healing, and also makes the enemies not be able to cleanse any status ailments. So that can be handy if you've got those status ailments and you're going against heroes that can cleanse or transfer them back to you. So very useful things if that's what your roster needs. Lodius does have some useful skills. However, I just don't think it should be at 20 souls. I could say that about a lot of the heroes at 20 souls, to be honest. Probably more so Lodius. Look, very fast, attacks with Moonrise Strike. So these strikes that do X amount of damage, I just feel they get outdated a little quicker than the percentage hits. You're probably going to need to go full attack to make that hit useful, but then you're leaving yourself pretty vulnerable with lower stats. You do get counterattack, but it's only 60%, so it's great to say, yep, we can take this counterattack against some of those really big hitters now, but because you've got outdated stats, you're only returning 60% of the damage, so you're still going to take a big whack yourself. Yeah, I just don't think Lotus is quite worth 20. I find Star Walker a little dividing. I do have him, and anyone who watches my war videos would say I still do use him a little bit. Especially in Cleanse War, he does have the skill of doing the extra damage, but as I mentioned with Erlang earlier, that extra damage now is not quite as, it doesn't hurt as much as it used to. Look, fast hit all, does defense down, so you can use in a blue stack if you're, looking for an extra blue to pair with other heroes that are going to do, he puts the defense down and then you get some big hits. The problem with Star Walker, I think, is the extra damage against boosted health is just rarely going to happen now. Like, unless we get a tank that becomes meta that does boosted health, generally you're just not going to get a lot of enemies that have boosted health over 100 just with the way things are happening at the moment. So yeah, it should be good. If there is someone you struggle against that does boosted health, could be an option to get that bigger hit to all at fast speed. But otherwise, I just don't think he's doing enough to be relevant in this tier, as I think there is one pretty much standout in the 20 soul tier. Great chance to remind you that if you do enjoy the videos I put out, remember to gently caress the subscribe button. It means a lot. I have just passed 1 year on YouTube, almost at 2,000 subscribers, so I would love if I could get there before the promotion I mentioned earlier. So yeah, hit that bloody button. Garten, I probably believe, now I could be a little bit biased here because I use Insanity Heroes a lot, but Garten does give protection for that Insanity, so he's great to pair with Atwood. Look, reduces max health of enemies, gives you a boost. It's not a huge boost, but it's great. He's a really good staller, gives soft skin, so that's where the soft skin can stop the Insanity. So great for that. Great for pairing with Atwoods, especially if you have a couple, as you can stop those from getting their own Insanity. So yeah, I think he just does a really good job of helping you stay alive longer. The soft skin can also protect against Bernadette, as it's not dispellable, unless I'm missing something. It is hard to time, as it doesn't stay around for long. But yeah, I think Garten is probably the standout in the bottom line. But again, as I've said with all these heroes, they can all have uses. I have placed some ticks on the ones I feel are probably the better choices. But again, it's all roster dependent, so it does depend on your roster. But yeah, I will probably be taking Garten myself, as it's a hero I've always wanted. I hope this helps you decide the best hero for yourself. I will most likely put out a longer one with a bit more in-depth discussion about the heroes. And as always, keep an eye out for my testing videos so you can see the heroes in action and see exactly how they can help your team. Again, if you enjoy what I'm doing, gently press the subscribe button, give your kitty a scritch for me, and have a bloody good one.